What does the H in the name Jesus H. Christ stand for? Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion, and I recently made a video where I discussed what Jesus' real name was and how it likely would have been pronounced. And I had a lot of people in the comments asking what the H in Jesus H. Christ stands for. And I know a lot of folks are just being facetious, but this is a real, legitimate research question, and scholars have a pretty good idea where it came from. And I made a video about this, but it's been a year or two, so it sounds like it's time to top up. The name Jesus H. Christ is probably derived from a monogram of the name Jesus, and a monogram is just an abbreviation. So to start, I want to show you a few different ways that people have historically written the name Jesus. Here are 3 different ways to write it in all caps. At the top, you've got the traditional Greek spelling, iota, eta, sigma, omicron, epsilon, sigma, and then underneath that, you've got a different Greek spelling that uses a different form of the letter sigma. This is called a lunate sigma, and it looks an awful lot like the Latin character C, but it would have just been pronounced like an S. And so on the bottom, you have a transliteration of either of those Greek spellings into Latin. Now, anciently, they would have used the first 3 letters of this name as an abbreviation. Here's an example of a monogram of the name Jesus that uses lowercase characters but maintains that lunate sigma that looks like a C. So this looks like Latin IHC. It's actually Greek, and it would be Yes, the first 3 letters of the name Jesus. Now, we can also see it in Latin transliteration, IHS. These are 4 different common ways that this monogram was written. At the top, you have IHC, which uses the lunate sigma. Underneath that, you have IHS, which is the Latin transliteration that uses the character S. Below that, and this would have only started in the 16th and 17th centuries, instead of the initial consonant I, you have the consonant J, which was developed in English. So you have JHS, still representing the first 3 letters of the name Jesus, and then on the bottom, probably the least common version of the monogram, JHC. That's using J, the English character, and then it's also preserving the lunate sigma from the Greek. So again, this is the least common of the monograms of the name Jesus. However, to English speakers, it looks an awful lot like the initials for Jesus Christ with the middle initial H. And so the notion that Jesus' full name was Jesus H. Christ is likely a sarcastic or a facetious derivation from this form of the monogram of Jesus. So what does the H in Jesus H. Christ stand for? It's just the Greek letter eta. So this is just an artifact of the use of monograms for the name Jesus coming from Greek into Latin and then into English. And the fit for this video has been the Fantastic Four.